Hello, I'm Alisa from School of Liberal Arts, Sukhothai Thammathirat Open University.
And I'm Jay. Welcome to Culture Me, where we talk about cultural issues and differences. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at stoucultureme@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook at /STOUcultureme. And don't forget to like us.
ผู้สนใจอาจจะอีเมลมาถึงเราหรือว่าเข้าไปที่ Facebook นะคะเพื่อแลกเปลี่ยนความคิดเห็นได้นะคะในวันนี้เราจะพูดกันถึงเรื่องของสำนวนภาษาอังกฤษที่แสดงถึงความสุภาพนะคะก็อาจารย์เจ we are going to talk about English softeners and polite language
Yes.
right? Can you explain just a bit about these softener things, because to me it's like the fabric softener, you make fabric softer.
Well, same with language. Instead of your clothing, you make what you're saying sound softer and more polite. In Thailand, I've heard a lot of people say that Westerners are so direct when they speak, that the things that they say is just so blunt and direct. But in Houston, where I'm from, they have a large Chinese and Vietnamese population, and we have a term because we think that the way they speak English is very blunt and direct, and we usually call it Asian directness or Asian bluntness, just to acknowledge that they're not being rude purposely. They just kind of sound that way because they're using such direct language.
Because they haven't learned about these polite language
Right.
phrases or how to make it soft to the audience.
Exactly. And a lot of times, even here, Westerners, I'll hear them and they're speaking polite, indirect language, very diplomatic, but I think some people don't understand what the softeners are, and they really kind of just ignore those words and just pick out the words that they understand.
Maybe they just learn a few words and
Right.
and they don't know how to make requests when you ask people to do things or offer yourself to do things.
Exactly.
So that you wouldn't offend others by using too direct language.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And some of the command like give me this, something like that, but they just know that that English may be limited.
Right. And again, we've talked about tone also being so important. Even if you are using direct language, if you are using a soft tone, that helps. It helps. But using the very polite language and a good tone is the best.
Ajahn, one of the phrases that we learned in school, the word please, isn't it enough to say you are polite, to suggest that you are polite?
It helps. It helps, and it definitely makes what you're saying more polite. But there are other ways. There are other ways to make it even more polite.
This please can be the command too, right? Please do this.
Exactly. That doesn't sound like a
Request
polite
or
request. It's you're adding please, but it's helping a little bit, but maybe not so much.
นะคะคือท่านผู้ฟังคะคำว่า please บางครั้งเนี่ยก็อาจจะเป็นประโยคที่ฟังเหมือนคำสั่งได้นะคะอาจจะไม่เพียงพอนะคะ So อาจารย์ can you give us some example of the phrases that you can add to make such sentences more polite?
If you are asking someone to do something or asking for something, passing a pen, pass me that pen, please. If that's with a friend, I mean it's all right if it's a good friend, but if it's not a good friend, if it's someone you don't know that well, I wonder if you could pass me that pen, please.
Wouldn't it be too long, Ajahn, to no? No.
Makes it sound
To
like
be on the safe side.
for passing a pen. That's probably not the best example for using I wonder if. Okay, let's change the example. Let's talk about a report at work and a boss talking to an employee, and the boss wants to be nice because he wants to keep the employee, but he wants the report. So can you give me the report tomorrow? That's not, it doesn't sound very nice, but I wonder if you could finish that report by tomorrow.
Or would it be possible for you to finish the report tomorrow?
Yes. Would you mind finishing that report by tomorrow? And it's a question, and it's just, yes, there are more words, but it just sounds so much more polite.
Yeah. And if to be able to use polite and soft language, you need to understand both English and you need to feel it too, right?
Exactly. That's one thing I've noticed when someone is speaking very polite language, and sometimes you can look at the other person's face and you can see that they're not feeling it. What they're hearing it. They're hearing it, and they understand the words, but they're not feeling the politeness of the language. Speaking and understanding English, or any language, it's more than just understanding, okay, this word means this word means that.
Yeah.
You kind of have to feel it, feel the connotations, and feel the level of politeness.
Yeah, and the context in the environment.
Exactly.
You are using the language.
So in my opinion, you have to, when you're speaking any language, you need to understand it in your brain and in your heart.
Yeah, that to be the cultured person.
Exactly.
Ajahn, let's move on to a more focused context, like in the business environment. Because the use of the English language, you must be very, very careful and with lots of shades of meaning.
Exactly. Especially if you are a manager or you're in charge of a group, you're the leader, and you need to ask people to do something. It's always better if you ask in a very, very polite way. It makes it makes the person asking seem more like part of the team rather than just this mean boss, demanding.
And if you are in service, like you're giving service to people
That
who are
also-
foreigners,
That also.
the use of language
Yes.
must be very, very careful and well selected.
Especially if you have to give any sort of bad news. Using very polite language when giving bad news can make it seem not so bad. I've found a few things on myenglishteacher.eu, and it's a practical guide to using diplomatic English in a business environment. And it talks about having to give your boss or a client bad news, and that choosing the right words and the right grammar can make it just less negative.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it sounds silly, but it really does make it less negative. Like if you're telling your boss, I haven't finished the report.
In this case, if you add I'm afraid,
that makes it, I'm afraid I haven't finished the report. I'm afraid I haven't finished the report. And it's sort of apologizing, and it sounds like you're trying.
I think that's good. Yeah. Just I'm afraid when you want to decline something or giving bad news or
Right. Westerners don't like to hear no. We just
not just the blunt no.
the blunt no. Yeah.
I always tell my student that you don't know just the word no and yes. There are a variety of ways to say no and to say yes.
Exactly, and to make the no less strong. Like I'm afraid not, or oh, I don't think so, or I'm sorry, I don't think so. It just softens that no. Yeah.
And what about to be honest?
To be honest, it does soften. It softens, and we often use that when it's something that we really don't want to say, but we feel like we need to. I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this, but I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying telling you this, but it's something I have to. Especially, giving bad news.
And what about unfortunately?
I use that one a lot. I use unfortunately
To give
a lot.
yourself excuse?
Yes. It's the same with to be honest. Sometimes if a student didn't do an assignment correctly, I use unfortunately you did not do the assignment correctly. and I'm using unfortunately to soften what I'm saying, but to let the person know, I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to tell you this, but it's my job. I have to. I have to tell you why.
And Ajahn, this is very interesting. When you argue with someone and you don't agree with them, how would you say that to soften the argument?
You can add an expression with all respect or with all due respect. It's letting the person know that I respect you, your position, and your opinion, but I don't agree with you.
Ajahn, other things we can use like modal verbs to soften the language. Can you give us some example?
Yes. Okay. If you are in a restaurant and you're asking for coffee, I want coffee. Well, that's not very polite. That's not very polite. If you use words like would, could, may, or might, it sounds so much nicer. Would you mind bringing me a cup of coffee?
Very polite.
Yes. Could I have a cup of coffee? May I have a cup of coffee? Might I trouble you for a cup of coffee?
Oh, that's so literary. Yeah, it's nice to learn all these phrases. You don't want to be too blunt and to not to be a cultured person.
In a restaurant, could I have a coffee? Or I would like a coffee, or may I have a coffee would be fine. I said, might I trouble you for a cup of coffee? Probably not in a restaurant, but if you're in someone's house and that person is very polite, maybe it's a very beautiful environment.
And you get better impression, isn't it?
Exactly. Like if I went to someone's mother's house or someone's grandmother's house, and that's probably, might I trouble you for a cup of coffee? It sounds like extra polite. So, only in certain situations.
Okay, Ajahn. And then when you want to say something negative, Ajahn, how should we rephrase that to make them appear more positive or more diplomatic, Ajahn?
Going back to the example that we talked about earlier, I'm afraid I haven't finished the report, which made I haven't finished the report sound much nicer. But here's a way to make it sound even better. I'm afraid I haven't been able to finish the report yet. Okay, so here's
very educated.
Yes, but it also sounds like you're working hard. So you're apologizing first with I'm afraid, okay? And instead of saying I haven't finished, using I haven't been able to finish. That means I've been trying, I've been working on this, and it just sounds like, I've been working so hard, I just haven't had enough time. And adding yet to the end.
Meaning you are going to.
I'm going to, yes. I'm going to. I'm determined and I'm working and I will finish it. I will finish it.
Good.
You will have it. Yes. So if you're speaking to a boss saying, I'm afraid I haven't been able to finish whatever it is yet, your boss is going to have a much better feeling,
Okay, อาจารย์ and what about the word can't or you pronounce can't and won't อาจารย์
Can't and won't. They sound unhelpful.
I can't give you a better deal than that.
Yeah, it's like it could be taken as, well, I'm too lazy to try, or I don't feel like it, or yeah, it sounds just very negative and very unhelpful.
So how would you rephrase that อาจารย์
If again, you can use able to. I'm not able to give you a better deal, and that's it's saying the feeling of, I want to, but I'm not allowed, or it's not possible, but I want to. Or you can say, I'm unable to give you a better deal, or I'm not in a position to give you a better deal than that. It's not possible.
Yeah, อาจารย์ and what about when you say I'm not happy with this agreement and I'm unhappy with this agreement? What's the difference อาจารย์ with I'm not happy and I'm unhappy
Well, I'm unhappy and I'm not happy are the same meaning, and they're both very negative. They're both very negative, and it sounds like you don't like anything about it. If you're talking about an agreement, it sounds like you don't like anything about it. If you use I'm not entirely happy,
add the word entirely.
Yeah, I'm not entirely happy.
You leave room for a little happiness.
Exactly. It's like, I'm pleased with a lot of it. I'm pleased with a lot of it, but not all. And there's just some little things that we can work on, and we'll all be happy. Or also, I'm not totally happy. It just makes it sound like the problems are small.
Language is so they have this fine distinction between a little phrase, a little words.
The key is when you're giving any sort of negative news, try to make it sound not so bad. Just try to minimize it. Minimize it.
Ajahn, it seems today we have learned how to soften the language to make our expression more polite and more being nice to a listener or the audience. I think that is one way to make us the cultured person.
Yes.
We learn how to speak in different contexts, different environment with different purposes. Thank you very much, Ajahn.
Thank you for joining us.